What's going on, Military Cashflow family? Today, we're going to be talking about why this Asvab is so important and kind of a quick summary of what the hell it even is. Before we do that, we got to do our intro starting meow. So what the hell is an Asvab? So the Asvab is the entrance exam into the armed services. Matter of fact, it stands for, I had to write it down because none of us ever learned what the hell the acronym stood for as we took the exam to get into the military service because we didn't really care. But it stands for the Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. That's a fancy ass way of just saying, hey, how good is your math and your English skills? Right? Now, why is it important though? So what's this all about? Anybody who's looking to join the military has to actually take this exam because this is the military's way of actually being able to categorize which jobs you qualify for. That's extremely important, okay? Because a lot of times people come in with the ambition of being a fighter pilot, right? Hell, even going special forces or something along those lines. But just because you want to apply doesn't mean you actually qualify. And now the thing, guys, this is just the entrance exam. This has nothing to do with the physical standards, the PT tests and things of that nature. This is just the mental aptitude capacity exam to see if you can even get in that some bitch, right? So we got to think about that. When we're looking at the ASVAB, what is it that they're actually evaluating? All right, so the ASVAB itself is heavily influenced by math and by English, okay? They'll do some things like paragraph comprehension, things of that nature, and then a whole bunch of stuff on the arithmetic side. Now, there are some other things like general mechanics and can you tell which way objects are meant to travel and things of that nature, along with a little bit of science and some other stuff. But it's heavily weighted on math and on English, okay? So with that being said, you have to think, all right, well, damn, now, if that's what they're asking me to study for, then maybe what do I need to study for? Well, no shit. It's the math and the English, right? Now, we'll get to, how to study and some study tips here in a second. But to go back to understanding the importance of the impacts that ASVAB score for you, it all starts with the main question of what is it that you actually want to do with your military career, okay? So let's understand some things about this ASVAB exam, this entrance exam. So one, every military service may have a different score, okay? So the Air Force is known to have one of the highest ASVAB requirements to get in, especially for some of their higher elevated career fields, such as fighter pilots or pilots in general, and things of that nature. Whereas, unfortunately, the Army is known around the block to have one of the lower entrance standards, all right, as far as score goes. In addition to that, if you have any ambitions at all of becoming an officer, that's something else to consider, okay? The ASVAB score is going to be extremely important if you do want to pursue an officer role, all right? So now that you kind of understand, hey, depending on which branch I want to join and which career path I want to take, this ASVAB is actually pretty important. Then we also have to align it with the actual career field, our MOS, which is your job. And for the officers, it's known as branch detail, so forth and so on, which branch you're assigned to, okay, regardless if it's logistics, combat arms, infantry, so forth and so on. So we have to know exactly what you want to pursue within your military career before you can understand the requirements you have to meet for the ASVAB, okay? So that part there is the underlying importance of it all. Next thing we're going to discuss is how the hell do you study for it? So a lot of times, many people that are joining the military are coming right out of high school. All right, right out of high school, some right out of college, and then some a little bit later on in life. But now that we know that mathematics, arithmetic, right, and that grammar and English comprehension is such a high weight as far as the scaling goes, or the grading, then now we just need to learn how do we optimize that when we're actually studying. So going back to that first point, hey, if you're in high school at the time, well, you are right now in the pit fire of hell. No, but it's not that bad. No, but hey, you're right there in the center of all of the education that you could ask for, right? Opportunities for tutorials or tutoring, right? That's the same thing. Opportunities to go to those teachers that are your math teachers, your English teachers, and things of that nature, and ask for extra assignments. I know it sounds crazy, guys, but again, this goes back to what do you want out of your military career? Do you really want that fighter pilot position? Do you really want that officer position, so forth and so on? You have to be able to meet the minimum guidelines, right? And so if you're already in high school, hell, you're right there. Just go ahead and ask for all that good stuff. College, same thing. But for those of you who have not attended college yet, college operates a little bit differently than high school. High school, those teachers are pretty much there with set schedules and set guidelines, and they're kind of an open door thing. Every college is a little bit different. Every professor is a little bit different as well when you get to the college space. But hey, you might be able to get to tutorials, tutoring. It's a hell of a word today, guys. Don't worry about that. But you might be able to get tutoring as well to really kind of elevate your ability to learn and grasp that material. All right. So obviously that's an easy answer as far as getting immediate help, right? But for many people, they don't have that option. Maybe they didn't attend college. They're already out of high school. Or maybe they're joining a little bit later in life. So one of the recommendations I have is actually going to a recruiter and taking the practice exam. Now, the practice exam isn't quite as intense as the main one. And even when you're done with the practice exam, it wouldn't give you all of the information as the primary Asvab, such as which MOSs you actually qualify for. But it at least give you a baseline to understand how you can expect to perform on the real thing. It'll also give you an idea of how well or how not well you performed in those certain categories. Now, once you identify the categories that you struggled in, well, now you know what you need to study. So where can you get study material if you're not in school and you don't have access to a tutor? I got it right that time. Then, guys, right out the gate, YouTube, Google, right? All of these powerful search engines. I know it might sound like common sense, but believe me, guys, sometimes things are right in front of us and we don't realize it. Literally just Google Asvab study tips, Asvab study guide, and you will be surprised at the content that is produced. Again, we just need to focus on the arithmetic and the English primarily, although I do encourage you to get a full study guide and go as in-depth as you'd like. All right, well, now that you have access to the material, the key thing is you have to actually study, okay? And I recommend at least at a bare minimum 30 minutes a day. The more, the better, okay? An hour and a half, 2 hours. It really just depends on where you're at and where you're trying to go as far as that ASVAB score is concerned. Okay, so when you're studying and you're going through these rehearsals, I highly encourage that you actually practice the problem by yourself. Practice it, do it all the way out, and then you go and check to confirm if it's right or if it's wrong. Go ahead and do 5, 10, 15 at a time instead of just one at a time so you can get used to the rhythm, okay? Because understand that this is still a timed exam. You're still going to have to go in. You're going to be in a certain controlled environment, and you're going to have to take this exam at your own pace, okay? So go in there and then focus on the ones that you got incorrect. Now, don't just focus on the problem as a whole, but you really want to focus on what part of the problem that you made a mistake on. And now when you go back and study, you study the process of the mathematic equation or the grammar or the whatever the case may be to make sure that you don't make that same mistake moving forward. Now, here's the best thing about this, guys. You do have the opportunity to retake the exam if you don't do that well, okay? Now, you do have the opportunity to retake the exam in the beginning. If you don't qualify to enter the armed services, yes, you can retake it. Okay, now let's say you do qualify to get into the armed services, and then they assign you a different MOS or a different branch, just depending on your ASVAB score, than what you've wanted. Well, that's perfectly fine. Now you can get into the armed services, and guess what, guys? You can still retake the exam later on in your career to then apply for the different branches or for those different job opportunities, as long as you still meet the other criteria, which is physical standards, age standards, so forth and so on. So it's not the end of the world. But again, going back to the beginning, understanding the importance of the ASVAB will at least allow you to understand how important it is for you to take this serious, because this one score can drastically impact your career from the beginning, from the onset, right? So if you take it serious, you put in some effort in studying, you take a couple hours out each day and understand that, hey, it's short-lived, because all you need to do is get the ASVAB score. That's it. So you can get the exact branch and the exact job that you want. It's not like they make you retake it down the line, right? They don't make you retake the ASVAB halfway through your career. So get it knocked out. It's painful at first, and then focus on really trying to hone in on whatever skill set it is that is required for you to be successful in your career choice in the military. So hopefully you guys got some value out of that. I know it was broad strokes, but again, sometimes it's right in front of us and we don't even realize it. So for everybody who's joining, or everybody who's looking to pursue a different MOS field, or maybe change branches, guys, take some time out, really think about what is consistent in that material. Go out and find somebody who can help you. Find it on YouTube, Google, a tutor, whatever the case is, and then take the time to actually study. So if you guys find any value in this, please let us know. Hit the subscribe, push that like, smash that like, all that good stuff, and share this content. And if there's anything else you guys want to hear about from our perspective of our military experience, our real estate experience, investing experience, whatever the case may be sure to put it in the comments below. Until next time, this is Mike Glaspie, signing off.